focus. Ideate, innovate, enable.
Schneider Electric, Green Yodha, in association with CNBC TV 18 presents the Sustainability Roadmap towards a Greener Economy.
India's ambition of achieving net zero carbon emissions is a beacon of hope that demands collective action. Schneider Electric, the Green Yodha, in association with CNBC TV 18 presents the Sustainability Roadmap towards a Greener Economy, was characterized by deliberations and discussions centered around conservation, digitization, and building a sustainable work ecosystem. The event was inaugurated with an insightful address by CNBC TV 18's Sonal Bhutra.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special event. CNBC TV 18 and Schneider Electric are pleased to present Green Yodha Initiative, the Sustainability Roadmap towards a Greener Economy. During COP26, India announced its 2030 decarbonization target, unveiling the Prime Minister's Panchamrit, or 5 climate goals. India is now committed to reducing the emissions intensity of its GDP by 45%, achieving 50% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel-based energy sources, and reaching 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2030. Looking ahead to COP28 this year in December, India has shifted its focus to clean energy transition and increased climate finance within the G20. The Indian government and regulators are actively working on regulations to ensure companies reduce carbon emissions across their operations. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and have a great evening.
In his welcome note, Deepak Sharma, Zone President, Greater India, MD and CEO Schneider Electric India, shared his insights on energy management and automation in the country.
India is transforming. India growth trajectory is really a reference on the industry we are working in. Problem is all this, the 6-time energy need or electricity need, the consumption of doing it right with solar or non-fossil, doing it through the smartest distribution systems still has this problem. This is the amount of carbon emissions we as a humanity are producing every year. And we all talk about Earth Overshoot Day. This year we said, oh, we did great. We have reduced by 5 days. We have gained 5 days. But at the end, when the population is going to even grow further and the same planet would be overly used or under resources available, this gas emissions is only growing to take us the global warming challenges. So the whole challenge is, when we build this next phase of the India, how do we ensure that we don't add more to the problem? But what I'm more focusing on here is how we can participate in ensuring that we can control it. So while we solve this equation, the problem is divided into 2 pieces. How do we generate and create energy, and how do we use energy? And again, data shows when you save 1 in a traditional grid, it's 3 savings or 3 units saved at the generation level. And that's all we at Schneider Electric believe can contribute to the bigger problem by bringing technology pieces to solve this problem. Now, the beauty is these are fixable. There are solutions today available that with data shows us that we can leverage technologies to solve the demand side and the supply side. And this is what I want to talk about, that we and companies like us, and this Green Yodha mission is not about showing what we do. It's all about bringing like-minded people together to say, what do we do as a human on this planet to fix these problems? At Schneider Electric, we actually serve the whole ecosystem. I mean, we have technologies which can power the first line of the country, the farmers. And to bring all that to more people, we have also started 10 days ago called Innovation Yatra, which is celebrating our 60 years in the country. We have packaged the whole story in a small movable mobile truck, which is also carbon neutral, powered by solar. Everything is recycled inside that bus. And the objective is, how do we create awareness in the society, in the ecosystem, to become energy efficient or energy ambassadors or a green yodha. The only objective of today evening is we want to discuss, we want to share knowledge, but at the end, we want each one of you to go back with a pledge that how, irrespective of the brand you use or the technologies you use, but how do we ensure that we can contribute one single step from all of us individually and ensure that we build a greener world tomorrow, which is going to be a place where all our generations to follow can live happily as we inherited from our ancestors. Thank you so much and coming and spending evening and time with us. Looking forward to the conversation.
The keynote address by Tata Trust CEO Siddharth Sharma highlighted India's impeccable initiatives towards sustainability and conservation.
Let me begin by saying that I am sure all of us gathered here today would agree on one thing, that humanity faces an increasingly volatile, unpredictable, and uncertain environment, which poses for us today both a challenge and an opportunity. We are cognizant that we have not contributed to the problem, but nonetheless, we are preparing to lead with the solutions. That is because we are very acutely aware of the consequences of doing nothing in today's world. India is leading on mitigation through its ambitious NDCs, net zero ambitions, and investments in clean energy like green hydrogen. Businesses too are starting to understand the immense costs of not being environmentally sustainable, of not cutting their carbon emissions. Regulators, investors, and consumers are together ratcheting up pressure on businesses to rapidly ramp up their sustainability vision, to track, disclose, and act on their carbon footprint, as also a number of other sustainability parameters. And yet, while we have a strong economic case for long-term decarbonization or mitigation, we are inexplicably not talking nearly enough about the economic costs of physical climate risks and impacts. This brings me to my core point. Climate risks are now business risks, and so not investing in adapting to climate change and only focusing on mitigation puts all of us in an untenable position. As the UN puts it, adaptation is often a blind spot in the private sector's assessment of its climate risks and liabilities. We today, ladies and gentlemen, have an opportunity to set new benchmarks for the world. Our national ethos, built on the universal love of humanity, where we see the world as one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, is what will continue to inspire us. This noble sentiment will also be the lodestar for the Tata Group as we move ahead on our foundational values of integrity, excellence, and ethics. We will continue to demonstrate through our work that the path to a just and equitable future is possible only when we place the needs and aspirations of our communities dead center. Nothing less shall suffice. It is this realization that has been at the heart of the Tata story ever since our inception and will always continue to be so. Thank you for giving me a patient hearing.
Schneider Electric, Green Yodha, in association with CNBC TV 18 presents the Sustainability Roadmap towards a Greener Economy.
Following the keynote address was an enriching panel discussion on ideas pertaining to the theme, the Sustainability Roadmap towards a Greener Economy.
It's such a pleasure to have all of you here when we are talking about something so important. Mr. Sharma, let me start. How are you ensuring that you align sustainability practices with your core practices in order to ensure that there's a cohesive development that's taking place and it ensures the greener transition to energy as well?
So again, thank you for having. I think the sustainability should be at the core of what we do, right? And like all of us define strategies, I want to go from A to B, I want to move from X to Y. The story is all about how do we do it sustainably. From the limited perspective, I see things as the tomorrow is only be there if you live and behave sustainably. So this is not a choice. It's no more like it's you will have a choice to do it. It's a must. And the problem is you have to act now, and there is only one way to survive. Now then comes the point. Is it affordable? What we see in our own company, that a smart factory, which is the way we digitized our own asset, and when we see the output of those factories, we are actually delivering more by consuming less. So it's not about that how do we compromise, how do we fund, and how do we make the futures more secure only by investing more. Actually, this is the ROIs, the returns, the investments, the strategies are helping us to do better while using less.
Mr. Sinha, let me take that forward because there's a lot happening in the power space and we've been seeing a lot of developments. How is that happening at Tata Power to ensure lower carbon emissions in your supply chain and to ensure that the renewable side that we are talking about is faster, the targets that we have put out in place is faster, and how is Tata Power contributing to that?
I think when we talk of energy transition, it's about giving the alternatives, giving the solutions. It's not about talking in the air that we need to do it, but how do we provide the solutions for the people to do it. We know that the globally a lot of new technologies have come. Today, digital technology is helping us to provide real-time information to customers in the way that they consume energy and the way the energy is produced and utilized. And this is being done in real-time basis. Schneider, Deepak's company, does a lot of work, whether it is in smart metering or it is the meter data management and the smart grid technologies. And I think those are the type of solutions that we need to provide to the consumers. And these can be all type of consumers. These are consumers who are in industries, they are consumers in office, commercial complexes, they are consumers in residential complexes, in houses. So I think there are a package of solutions that we need to provide, and they have to be consumer friendly. The people should be able to use that.
Mr. Iyer, let me come to you because manufacturing is a power intensive industry. How are you doing that at your company when it comes to the manufacturing process? Is it less energy intensive or coming in at a place where there are less carbon emissions? How are we ensuring automobiles are generally less carbon emitting in the industry and at the company as well?
Well, for us as Mercedes-Benz, we believe there is no luxury without sustainability. So that's the starting point of what we want to do. And as a company, it's not about tailpipe emissions or just on manufacturing. We said that we want to be a carbon neutral company by 2039. So we call it the Ambition 2039 there. And we said, let's not wait because, when you put some long-term targets, there is a tendency for the organization to say one day. So we said 50% of that we need to achieve by 2030. So there are very clear goals on how do we accelerate there. Coming to cars as well, we said that by 2030, we will also go all electric wherever markets allow. So we will be ready and we will also be fully electric and shift because as the inventor of automobile, 138 years back, we feel responsible on this development as part of the stakeholders. And we said we need to take the lead and leap of faith and we cannot wait. So we need to drive this. Now, when it comes to manufacturing, it starts from product development to start with, because we need to first be clear that when we design the product itself, first the product itself has to be sustainable and then the manufacturing processes to go along with it.
Let me come to you, sir, because we've been talking about technology, we've been talking about design, because design also plays a very important role when it comes to transition. How do you see the increase of sustainable designs which are in place? How can a company like yourself contribute to changing designs so that there's sustainable consumption?
Sustainability and talking about it, there is a long journey, I think, ahead of us. The journey has just started. When I talk about ThyssenKrupp, the company which I belong, we have a target of being climate neutral by 2050. We also have an ambitious goal by 2030 to reach up to a certain stage. The efforts of ThyssenKrupp are acknowledged by having a sustainable and for the 7th year in a row a CDP A rating, which is there in 22 for us. So the efforts are acknowledged also by the industry. We in ThyssenKrupp have now engaged ourselves into formation of a new business segment called D-Carbon Technologies. And in this decarbon technologies, we have brought the businesses which are from Ude, the company which is engaged in the chemical plant building. Chemical plant building is a business which is not from the point of view of very environmental friendly. Second business is of Nucera, which is mainly the electrolysis plant business. And this is a very good contributor to the sustainability with the green hydrogen production. Then we have the business from ThyssenKrupp Rothe, also a big contributor into the sustainability by means of providing components for the windmills, for the solar power plants. And the fourth one is cement business. You may wonder, cement actually that way also business which will leave big footprint for CO2. But here also we have some innovative solutions to reduce the carbon footprint which is happening. So idea is not just to be part of this journey, but to be establishing the technological leadership by means of our designs, by means of our technologies, and contribute in this way.
So let me come to you because, usually data centers are called energy intensive, but we have been speaking about technology. We've been talking about innovations. How are you doing it at your company to ensure that, yes, that data center operations, they are sustainable, they are low carbon emissions there, and how are you using technology there?
So let me address your question on innovation and automations and technology. But before that, let me step back a little bit and tell a little bit about what is Digital Edge as a company. We have got eminent people from Mercedes, Tatas, and all, so they're all well known to us. But what is Digital Edge? It's relatively a new company. We are about 4 years old, but we are in the data center space. The uniqueness about what we are is all our founders have been in the data center business for decades, and they've come into this venture. So we got the management which understands the data center from the core. Our whole ecosystem of Digital Edge is based on this three principles of ESG principle, innovative solutions, and technology deployments.
Okay, so digital solutions, innovative adaptation, and technology, the three pillars at your company as well. Mr. Sharma, let me come to you now because digitization, all of you spoke about it, that technology is extremely important. In that case, what would the three top priorities for digitization be in that case?
For me, I think the three priorities is it has to be an inclusive story. When I say inclusive story, and Mr. Sharma spoke about earlier, you just can't say this is the game of the top 5 because this is your problem, right? We have to understand and admit it's for all of us. We are all in it together because this is not about a balance sheet competition, it's a survival problem. So it's the first fundamental point is it has to be a wider ecosystem coming together. So, like Tata Power creating the right energy, the Mercedes using the right technology, and then ThyssenKrupp bringing the right processes for Siemens, and then companies like Schneider and alike bringing the right technologies to connect that dot. So it's very important that the fundamental is we need to work as an ecosystem. It's not A versus B. It's not. It's all in together. The second thing is it has to become usable for all of us, right? And I think the fundamental success story lies that it's not for the top 10, top 20, top 50 group of companies because the problem was created there. It's the same story. The problem was created in the West, so let's West solve it. No, again. So I think the second problem is the value chain across needs to jump into it. And sometimes they are early movers, sometimes they are not, right? And we, I think, have that responsibility to bring the ones who take a little bit extra cautious or extra time to get into it. So here, use cases, examples, sometimes it's a funding support, and we committed ourselves that all our value chain, which is scope 3, we will be carbon neutral by 25, net zero ready by 2030, and net zero including scope 3 by 2040. So what we have taken is all our 1,000 suppliers across the world, top 1,000 suppliers, we're running a program to make them net zero. And out of this, 66 suppliers are in country, global suppliers, right? So this cannot be done first without an ecosystem. It cannot be done vertically, and you can't do it alone. You want to bring the front man in the ecosystem together. And third, within the culture of the company. So if I take purely Schneider, from the top to the first line, everybody needs to know that there is a role to play.
So while you spoke about the entire supply chain, government plays a big role as well, and they have been coming up with a lot of policies. So in that case, what are the policies that you already like? There's something that you expect government to do more, to bring communities together, to ensure that it is an approach that everyone across the organization also takes up.
So I think the government has taken huge steps, starting from the commitment that was made by the Prime Minister in Glasgow summit, when he said that India will become net zero by 2070 and nearly 50% of our energy will be from clean sources or non-fossil sources by 2030. And I think that was a huge initiative of the government to take a to make such a bold statement. And towards that, I think we have a huge target to add nearly 300 gigawatt of clean energy by 2030. We already have nearly 200 gigawatt. And that means that every year, huge capacity addition has to take place, whether it is large solar plants or wind plants, but also many of the other areas like the energy storage and how hybrid solutions can come. So I think the government initiatives have been phenomenal. Power sector is a very regulated business. The regulatory system also has been supporting the government policies. So I think all in all, there is a lot of effort that is being done by the government.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today and telling us how important these pillars are for decarbonizing our economy as well. And with that, I would like to take your leave and end this discussion as well.
Schneider Electric, Green Yodha, in association with CNBC TV 18 presents the Sustainability Roadmap towards a Greener Economy.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.